Start the morning right with a cup of Vinyl Tap. Nothing beats the refreshing taste of a hot, warm mug of Vinyl Tap. Enjoy your podcast in liquid form today. Vinyl Tap. Enjoy responsibly.
2, 1.
Vinyl Tap.
I'm Jason.
I'm Jason.
I'm Jason.
And we just listened to Led Zeppelin 4 by Led Zeppelin.
Boys.
Ooh. What a fun time. What a very fun
I don't like
time.
this album as much as others. There we go, I said it.
I mean, that's
Do you mean as much as other people or as much as other albums?
Other albums. I think that this is...
other Zeppelin albums.
Other Zeppelin albums. I think that this is a weak contender in the discography.
Okay, the interesting thing there is how wrong you are.
Yeah.
Because this isn't just the best Led Zeppelin album. This is the best rock album.
No. It has some
Fight.
really intensely strong songs, and I think there's some really not strong songs as well. And I think the album construction also lets it down.
This is going to be an exciting episode of Vinyl Tap.
Far out. Okay.
Yeah, so I said it.
go.
Now you guys can
Go.
talk.
He
No.
went. We'll get back to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to dodge that bullet.
You most certainly are not.
You loaded the gun yourself.
Tim?
Go.
Oh, well, I did. It's the best.
Rock album.
I love it. I completely disagree. I think every song on it is great.
Minus one.
No, I still think that Misty Mountain Hop.
I love that you knew what I was
If it
talking
were on, if it were on any other album, it would be great. It might even be the best song on a lot of other albums.
I really don't like the verse vocal line and the main melody. Unfortunately, other than that, the things they do in it, the harmonies are cool and whatnot.
The riff is groovy.
The riff is so groovy. I just really don't like the vocal line
And
in it.
its placement in the album as after Stairway to Heaven, the most popular song ever.
Yeah.
It doesn't do it any favors. And I think that placing the weakest song on the album after one of the greatest songs of all time is a pretty good idea. Yeah, because putting Going to California after, for instance, after Stairway to Heaven...
would really take away from Going to California.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
So
just
that's where I'm
right?
going to have contention with you about album construction.
All right, Jason, how did you find this album?
I'm definitely, on a scale of Habibi to Tim, leaning more on the side of Tim.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I expected that fully. I kind of was...
I mean, I'm the one who chose the album.
I was excited for this album, but also dreading it.
I mean, it is a little nerve-wracking putting your own thoughts about one of the most discussed albums of all time.
We're here to discuss it.
Yeah.
And so let's...
It's okay. So the construction, it's not just Misty Mountain Hop. It's they all have that kind of same rhythm for basically everything after Stairway. You just end up with that same kind of groove. Yeah.
I
And it just-
wholeheartedly disagree.
You realize that Going to California is the 7th song on the album, and that's after Stairway.
And 4 Sticks is in
did I?
6
It's in
8
5/4 with the
and
6/4 bar.
It changes. Yeah, I was gonna say it's changing time
Yeah.
signatures and
But
And When the Levee Break has one of the most iconic drum beats.
No, see, when the Levee break was relief.
but that's because of a tonal shift, presumably, not to do with the rhythm.
No, but the rhythm had that kind of I don't know, it's like a blues.
It's a really strong on beat.
Yeah, I don't know. There's this kind of blues folky thing that
Yes.
it just stayed on it, and it didn't have the, I don't know, that drive, that rock vibe where they kind of classic Zeppelin of fusing rock with blues. It's just,
And can I say Going to California had that classic rock beat?
Sorta.
Not at all.
Yeah, not at all.
No, but I didn't like Going to California a lot.
God.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to. You can't say that
Jason,
and move away from
For
that.
the people listening and without the visual source, can you please describe the look of great offense? Actually, you don't need to. I just did.
You just did.
I'm.
But it's just
How dare you? How
I don't
dare
know.
you? You've
the
insulted
melodic,
my son.
The melodic shape is kind of similar to.
To what?
But
What?
the Misty Mountain Hop, 4 Sticks, Going to California. They're all so similar.
What? They are like
hang on.
three of the most varied songs.
By what metric?
I don't know what the metric is, but they're just
Feeling.
feeling.
Beavis'
They'll
feelings.
just feel wrong.
Because I'm willing to entertain the idea, but I've listened to this album a lot. I've thought about every song from a bunch of different perspectives, and I don't see it. I don't see your angle.
No, they're just chaotic messes. You know?
No.
Okay, look, you go. I'm gonna
I think-
stop.
I think particularly Going to California is like very finely crafted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, sure. I think I just don't like them. I just
And-
don't like them as songs.
Okay.
For what reasons, though?
Well, the best reason I can put is that it's a chaotic mess.
In what sense? An overall structure, an interplay between instruments and texture, the melodies, the
Let me
harmonies.
back up.
Give me some specifics
Going to
here.
California,
Be
for
more
example,
detailed with your criticism.
I just feel is shit. I don't even know how to put it. It's like
Good thing we're not recording this.
yeah, I know, right? It's like structurally kind of all over the place. It feels like it's got like that kind of prog vibe of it moves from section to section and it kind of but then it doesn't.
Like
it keeps,
meanders? Is that what you're getting
that's,
at?
That's what I'm getting at.
Okay.
And nothing has any kind of there's
Can I
no
put
like
my
there's no
thoughts on this?
grounding. Well, what are your thoughts on it? I've been trying to defend myself
So,
with vague points. I don't have
Going
anything
to
defend myself
California
with.
in that sense is like
Because your opinion is unfounded.
is like
not unfounded, it's
wandering. Like it is, but that was I guess more of a 60s thing than a 70s thing, but they like came out of the late 60s and it was still way more acceptable to have songs like that compared to what it is today.
Oh yeah,
And it's still fairly structured as well. It's not like this random section, that random section.
I guess so. But it's just
And like that's
I've never. I don't know. I couldn't on this listen. I couldn't pick what it was that made me not like it.
Consider this. Stairway to Heaven is a chaotic mess in the same sense.
in more.
Yeah.
It's structurally way more like all over the place.
But it's more like
You're more familiar with it.
No, it's more.
That's bad faith.
It's more developed, I suppose. In like it has that kind of developed Zeppelin sound, whereas this to me has always kind of resembled like a, I don't know, like they're kind of meandering and jamming, and they haven't quite pulled all of the pieces together and worked out how to make something like meander and groove and be super tight.
Dude. No. Going to California, the interplay between the mandolin guitar is amazing.
Yeah, but
And you get the, like-
that's a moment. Like there
No,
are
no,
heaps
no.
of really
That's
cool
throughout the
moments.
constantly.
entire
It's
song.
the entire thing. And you've got John Bonham showing off the really sweet part of his voice.
Sorry,
And
whose voice?
oh, Robert Plant. Sorry.
John
John Bonham's
Bonham,
not
the
in the song.
famous singer.
Insult my
yes,
grandfather.
sorry. Robert Plant.
I know that end of
No,
the
no,
song where he
okay,
goes
yeah,
down to
see.
the low
Yeah,
end of his
yeah.
range.
He's
I
like
agree.
showing off his
I love
range. He's
that.
showing
That
off the
was
sweet
nice.
part, and he's also contrasting with the like gritty part in like certain parts, and you get that like minor tonality when he gets the really gritty part, and
And it ends with that lovely chorus with when it's drowned in reverb at the end. Isn't that lovely? You don't do that if it's not like thought about, if it's not a considered structure.
Yeah, I mean, like
That doesn't occur.
I guess it is considered. I don't know. I don't like it.
I
don't have valid reasons for why I don't like it. It's just
Okay.
shit.
That's fine, so long as we've all understood that you like it because you don't like it.
No, I don't like it at all.
No, that's it, and you don't have any good reasons. That's fine.
I've got great reasons. You just disagree with them.
You disagree with them. This always happens.
I will rediscuss this in the end of month, and you'll be like, actually, I've reconsidered.
Let's talk about one of the
Something
7 other
else.
songs.
Tim,
What's up?
what song do you want to talk about?
Going to California, but I feel as though the dead horse. We should give it a little bit of a rest before we come back to
Yeah,
it.
okay.
I don't know. Like, the Battle of Evermore is an interesting one, isn't it?
Battle of
This is the one
Peace,
song
Yep.
where Jimmy Page does play mandolin.
Oh, interesting. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
The rest of the album, it's John Paul Jones.
That
So-
I did know, but only because you told me the other day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so John
I
Paul.
didn't know
Maybe
that
instead of a
until
song, we'll
right
just
now.
talk about John Paul Jones because, as I said during our listening, he is like he's still one of the most celebrated bass players in rock history, but he's still like way too unsung in the scheme of Led Zeppelin. I feel
So, okay, tell me about this, because I don't have any idea about his multi-instrumentalism.
the recorders in Stairway to Heaven, the mandolin, all the synthesizers in all of their
Really?
albums. I mean, the amazing bass lines, obviously.
Yeah. So he just kind of carries basically everything.
Yep. Well, I mean, John Bonham carries. I mean, all of them carry
No,
everything.
they all carry. But
Except Jimmy.
And there's different moments.
Yeah.
They take their turns.
I really think we should appreciate John Bonham more. John Paul Jones. This is the issue. You needed a different name.
I love... No, I mean, at least yours was John and John. I just got Robert Plant and John Bonham.
It should have been James. Like, it would have been so much easier for people to recognize you.
So that choral finish where right at the end of Battle of Evermore.
Oh, yeah.
That
they
wall
go.
of vocals.
The wall of vocals, and then there's like that ornament line that just like, well, the line is ornamenting down as it descends through that thick texture. So good.
Yeah.
Very Lord of the Ringsy.
Yeah. No,
This
wait,
song-
no, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it's...
this song, it's the Battle of Evermore. I think there's a line in there where he mentions how the ring wraiths ride.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like it's
Also-
overt.
It being like a battle, it was really like the vocal not texturing, I guess texturing, where they're kind of competing and over the top of each other all the time. They're not giving it space for the next line to come in. It's starting before the other one finishes is really like thematically on point because it's like a battle and they're kind of competing.
Did you notice that Robert Plant's voice in a few sections of this song didn't quite sound like Robert Plant's voice?
Yeah.
This is the one Led Zeppelin song with a guest vocalist.
Oh.
And her name is... What was her name? Sandy Denny.
Huh.
Who Robert was like, huh. And it was for specifically this reason. That he wanted someone to play the town crier and himself to play the narrator of the battle.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
But yeah, it played out in like a real duet kind of way where it was back and forth and then there were moments that they were together and then back and forth competing again, which was interesting done in like a battle sense rather than like a, hey, we're lovers and we're gonna get together kind of way.
You don't get that much from a duet often, do you?
No.
I never really think about Robert Plant as the kind of voice that you layer, but my goodness, he sounds so good as a chorus of himself.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that either.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize they did it as much as what, like they didn't do it a huge amount, but they still did way more than what I was remembering from this album.
Yep. Oh, I wanted to ask, is it rock and roll where there was one song where I was like, did they multi-track the guitar? No, it's Black Dog.
I don't know for every single song. I know a very broad general thing they did, at least I'm pretty sure around the time of this album, I can't speak for all their albums, is that they did the guitar track, and I don't know if it was multi-tracked or not, but like super far wide in the left and right speakers to fill the, like, because all their mixes are very wide across the whole song. They don't tend to do the current thing of a little bit narrower and expand out in the chorus, as far as I'm aware. Again, don't at me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
At us.
but there's a pretty somewhat specific way they had of spacing in panning wise in the mix, where the guitars sat a little wider than the drums, and then obviously like the bass and vocals in the middle.
Yep.
And I don't know where they put all the auxiliary things like mandolins and recorders, but I know that doubling the guitars was like a very big production thing for them, and I don't know if it was the same track or like another take.
Cool.
They
I was
multi-track.
wondering because I think I heard it in Black Dog during the solo, which props to Jimmy, obviously Jimbo Pidgey. The guitar riff keeps going. The dun 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 dun. So I'm pretty sure
They multi-track shitloads.
all the time.
Yeah,
all
they
the time.
didn't not
Yeah.
multi. Yeah, I don't think they.
I can think. Well, I know that they multi-track an absolute shitload in physical graffiti.
Yeah.
That's like rife through it. And
That album, production-wise, is balls to the walls.
yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's even from their first album. I'm pretty sure they've got multi-tracking.
Yeah.
If
you think
maybe
about
I'm wrong,
communication breakdown.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean,
I'm not 100%
that's late
on
'60s.
That,
The Beatles have started doing that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, so it is something
It's
that
on the
bands are
cards.
starting to play
yeah,
with.
but I'm pretty sure they're multi-tracking
Boys.
here. I can't think of the exact song. Maybe it'll come later.
I need to apologize to you, Jason. The other day we were talking about how they had Led Zeppelin have 12-bar blues songs, but none of them are their most popular ones. I was completely wrong. Rock and Roll is a 12-bar blues. And that's one of their most popular songs.
Yeah,
It's like it is exactly a 12-bar blues.
yeah. I know.
It's also I really liked the guitar tone there.
Oh,
with
it's
that.
so cool.
It's very thematic in that like it's not that kind of classic heavy, distorted tone. They've got that.
It's
like,
about rock and roll.
Yeah, they've got that rock and roll like the kind of that nasal like dry signal almost coming
Yeah.
through with like a little bit of distortion. That kind of like early rock.
Yeah.
Really, really
Like
cool
it
sound.
it makes you think of fucking Chuck Berry.
Yeah,
Except
exactly.
it's more hectic.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
fucking-
Well, that's the thing because the bass, the drums, vocals, they're all still heavy metal basically.
Yeah.
Like drums are really, really
like
heavy.
the progenitors of heavy
Yeah,
metal.
the drummers are like, yeah, they're heavy metal.
Yeah.
Well, when I say heavy metal, I mean like
What the term used to
what the
mean.
term
used to mean.
yeah.
Okay, I was like,
Not.
I think these days hard rock is the term most people would
maybe
use.
that's the correct term.
but it
yeah.
was at the time heavy metal.
metal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much.
And on the drums, particularly right when the levee breaks, just that sound where it's like there's no bass to the drums.
you're
The
talking
way-
about the weird reverb thing that
The
people
weird-
always talk about and argue over the way it was recorded.
Well, I just love it. It's so cool.
No,
Most
we can
people
all
do.
agree on
It's
that.
super,
Yeah.
super sick. It's one of the most spoken about drum beats
Yeah.
ever, and it's one of the most famous drum sounds. And
We can't add much.
I'm not going to add anything nuanced to this conversation, but for people who are listening and have no clue, my understanding is because they went to, I think it's Headley Grange.
That's right.
Yeah, but they recorded this in a few different places, but I think it was at Headley Grange that the drums were recorded in the foyer where there was this like stairwell and the mics were up high, and so it was getting like the natural reverberation.
Right.
That's the story.
That's the
the
story.
story.
I think there's more nuance to it than that.
It was 50 years
But,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man, speaking of the recording process of this album, the lyrics of Stairway to Heaven, again, the most popular rock song ever, were written in the studio.
That's
Oh,
pretty
really?
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Like
That's,
the
wow.
night before they recorded it or
Really?
something like that. Yeah.
They
Isn't
did
that-
a lot of that
Yep.
actually.
And then we think about it today and it's like, man, Stairway to Heaven is just a staple. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like that and it always has been. But the night before, it could have been different, you know?
There's a song on Led Zeppelin 1.
There are a few.
What's the last? I can't think of what its name is.
No, it's Led Zeppelin 1. It's
Led
just
Ze-
the one
yeah,
song.
It's whatever the name of the last track on that album is called.
Doesn't matter.
We'll get to it. We'll get it up on the screen. That's there's like two sections of that. So there's the intro and then the end, and the whole middle of that song, which goes for about 5-6 minutes, they made up in the studio like an hour or two before they recorded it. They were
Legends.
just like
How
noodling
many more
away.
times?
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So like they've always been doing that, right?
Well, now that we've actually reached Stairway,
Oh, yeah. we've done it.
we've done it. I have some, again, obvious things that other people have spoken about that I want to.
It's difficult to say something new about this
Yeah, it is, but I still want to gush about it
Go on.
and talk about the
song. Oh, wake us up when you're done.
the like textural build and the accelerando across. And the way that it builds that tension, that you get the release and relief when the drums come in, it's just
The
like
restraint required to
Yeah.
not bring John in.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
god.
just
tension
like
kills
the intent.
Wait,
like
yeah,
they
you started
had-
drumming like two
yeah.
times.
Yeah, that's because
beforehand.
I'm hearing it already. Like, just hurry the fuck up.
Yeah, and
No,
just
it's worth it. It's worth the
Yeah.
wait.
and just because that was an intentional thing to start it off slower and sparse, and then gradually add more things and increase the tempo, so that when those drums do come in, it's such an kind of moment, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, oh yeah, that was cool. Like it's
There's some really cool
super,
things. I
super
mean,
cool
like
intent.
one of
And
the
I want to point out that's like one of the big benefits, like how we spoke about with Cat Empire, like the other week, of not recording to a click and not having everything quantized. And there are benefits to that, and it has its place. But with everything being quantized, you're not getting a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep, that's true. The other thing that I really like how the vocal rhythm speeds up a little bit just before the drums come in as well. And just like all those little elements of, I don't know, it's like a cheat code for adding tension, where it's like they've basically had that same melodic rhythm the whole way through, and then he just like speeds it up just
Do you
a
mean
little.
like the verse prior, where it's I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
it kind of
He
goes
fits
in-
more words into a line.
Yeah, I think what is it like? Da da ga, da. I can't think of how the melody goes or what the words are. At that point. Yeah. And it's just like it keeps building up and building up, and like it's just little things like that where you don't notice it if you're not like actively listening. Even when you're actively listening, it
But
can be
your
hard to
brain
figure it out.
notices
But your
it.
brain notices it.
Yeah.
So cool.
The opening of the song has a chromatically descending bass line in the recorder, and it just melts me every time. I've heard this song 1,000 times, and that will never not destroy me.
That
It's
recorder
just
is
so
one of
beautiful.
the prettiest things ever.
This is John Paul Jones is a genius. They're all geniuses, obviously.
Oh, did he play the brass in that song?
I don't know what you're talking about. There is
No
no brass
brass?
in this song.
Isn't there brass?
No.
What is that?
It's a synthesizer.
Okay.
Plus, I think
So it was John Paul Jones.
okay. You're right, but in a wrong way.
That's normally how I'm right.
I think this song also has a Lord of the Rings reference, because the two other songs, Battle of Evermore and Misty Mountain Hop, do, and I think that the line, "There's a feeling I get when I look to the west and my spirit is crying for leaving," that sounds a lot like the elves' desire for Valinor, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I just knowing what I do about Robert Plant, which I suppose isn't too much. Like I don't know the guy. We only met once, and he won the game of poker. But I just figure that I know it just sticks out to me as a Tolkien reference.
Yeah,
and no one
always thought
talks
that as
about
well.
it.
So, fill those in, those audience members, and definitely not me. Lord of the Rings, what?
So there's a trilogy of books.
Yeah, no. So, what is the connection between Lord of the Rings and...
Jimmy Page was super inspired by Lord of the Rings.
Page and Plant were both obsessed with Tolkien.
Right. So, Battle for Evermore.
Evermore. Yeah.
It's a reference to the past of Lord of the Rings.
well, there
And
we
Misty
go.
Mountain Hop is about hopping across the Misty Mountains.
Well,
And,
there we go.
One of their other greatest songs, Ramble On, has some references too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit. All this time, and it just...
Yeah,
Straight over.
It's a lot of over a lot of people's heads. I only know it because I'm a Led Zeppelin nerd and a Lord of the Rings nerd, so it's geared towards me.
So Battle for Evermore literally talks about ring wraiths,
Yeah,
and I didn't pick that up.
I mean,
how often do you pick up lyrics?
To the yeah?
well, like not really.
Yeah.
I know in that song, I'm just listening to the mandolin.
Robert Plant has this amazing ability to not be tethered to the rhythm of the band, and yet is perfectly rhythmic.
Yep.
They leave a lot of space for each other. There's a lot of times throughout the album where it's almost call and response, where they're like rhythmically stopping, letting something have its moment, and then coming back in together. And even on top of that, though, I get what you're saying. He still doesn't.
So the example is in Stairway to Heaven, right, where they go into what is that section? Is that like verse, like the second verse section where it's like
The one before the drums? Is
yeah,
that
the
what you're
one
saying? Yeah.
I think it's just before the drums where he's sort of like he's rhythmic but he's sort of floating in his
Yeah.
own separate world to the rhythm that's been introduced, and it's like
It kind of reminds me of how opera singers operate.
Yeah, it's very much
how
like that.
there's an accompaniment and then there's the singer.
Yeah, and it's really, really,
But he's
really
not
cool.
as like obsessed with himself in the sound.
Well, because
as
he gets
opera
he
singers
does
are.
lock into the band, but like if you ever try and sing with him, you really fucking notice how like unrhythmic you are.
Yeah.
And like how locked in and tight the whole thing is.
It would come as no surprise. I've said this to both of you in private, but on camera, Robert Plant is the best person who will ever sing rock music. That's just it. If Freddie Mercury thinks he's the best, he's the best. He's just a god. And I just his voice is so beautiful across the whole album, and then it's so gritty and disgusting when it needs to be as well.
That's the best part about
He's
it
so
is
versatile.
the versatility.
He has
and
such an incredible range.
yeah,
God, I love this album.
yeah, it's
And so do you. You're just in denial.
It's one of the best ones ever.
Yep.
Also,
Wow.
something we haven't mentioned
Yes.
is 4 sticks.
Yeah.
John Bonham plays with 4 drumsticks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't. What?
Why?
What is all this trivia?
I don't know why, but he does. So there's some reason for it. I just know it's a thing he does, and that's why it's called 4 sticks.
I love that. Because
Like-
I was thinking, the song's in 5/4 mainly. So
I thought it was mostly in 6/8
You're wrong.
with bits of something else, which must be 5/4.
It's a 5/4 bar and then 6/4/5. Bum 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 bum. That riff's in 5/4.
Okay.
I mean, you can think of it as da 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 da, which is 10/8, which is 6/8 plus 2/4. But I don't know why you would think of it like that.
Because it's cool.
Yeah, maybe that's where you're hearing it, and that's why you're feeling it.
Okay. I think it makes more sense.
Anyway, it has an interesting time signature, but yeah, I don't know why he uses the 4 sticks. I just know he does,
All right.
which is a cool little thing.
Sure. So, in summation, this album's great.
It's
If you haven't listened to this album, listen to this
Put
album.
it like this: half of the songs on here are 4 of their greatest songs.
yeah, I agree with that.
Black Dog, Rock and Roll, Stairway, and When the Levee Breaks.
Yeah.
Right, those are undisputed
I agree with that.
smashes.
Yeah.
And the other 4 songs are
Suck.
you're wrong. No, you're gonna die because I mean, 4 Sticks is groovy as fuck.
I like how I've backed myself up here with absolutely nothing.
I can't wait for the comments to trash you.
Yeah, look, bring them on.
Next week on Vinyl Tap, we'll be listening to Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
Click above to find out what else we've listened to this month.
Click below to support the artist we just listened to.
And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode.